welcome back to another 31 Days of Horror. As you can see, Leslie is here with me yet again. And we are not live from the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. We're back at my place. It's now almost 3:30 in the morning. But we're here to talk to you about Day 2, film number 2 from the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. A film called Let Her Out. Let Her Out. Leslie's giving away her thoughts on the film already.
I think they should have kept her in.
Kept her in, eh? Yeah, so, film's directed by Cody Callahan, who, Leslie wouldn't know the name, of course.
No.
But for all of you die-hard horror fans out there, he's the guy behind Antisocial and Antisocial Part 2.
You have to be a die-hard horror fan to know 2 movies?
No, but have you seen them?
No. Like, I haven't seen lots of other things.
True enough.
Jeez.
And it's written by Cody, along with partner Adam Siebold, who isn't much of a writer. This is actually the first film he's ever written, but he is an actor. And you may know him from films like Exit Humanity. I think he was in Ejecta. And I don't know. Oh, Hellmouth. Did you see Hellmouth last year? No.
No.
And there's a group of filmmakers who put those all together. And that's kind of where they I think they met on Exit Humanity. Cody was saying they met on that and they've kept in touch, and that's how they ended up coming together on this project. The film is about, essentially it stars one person with a few supporting roles, and that would be the main character, who was played by a first-comer, Alana Lavierge, who, this is her first feature role. She's been in a few shorts, and she's done voice work for animated, but this is her first feature. And essentially what the story is she is a bike courier, and she came about into this world under some nefarious circumstances, and her mother essentially killed herself the day she was born, or C-sectioned, or whatever would have happened at that point. So this is essentially, she's 23 years later, I think they said in the movie. And, she's having a hard time, obviously, dealing with the fact that her mother killed herself. And so she has a tendency to revisit the motel where her mother committed the deed. And unfortunately, one of the times she does so, she ends up getting hit by a car. And this ends up leading to some trauma to the brain, and eventually she starts getting blackouts and hallucinations, and all sorts of crazy, terrifying things happening to her, which she can't explain right off the bat, but eventually finds out why. And if you wanted to put this into a subgenre, most people would probably look at it as being a body horror type film. And it was, you know what? I thought Alana did an absolutely bang-up job in the lead role. She technically has to play almost multiple parts, if you think about it. Yeah. And it's got some pretty gory aspects to the film. I mean, as a lot of body horror does.
I had to look away a couple of times because I thought I know what's going on and I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, even I cringed at a few of the moments in the film where it's not so much that it's gross looking, but it's more along the lines that I can feel it. Like, I can feel what's happening on screen. Well, that thing with her foot, man, like, I've stepped on stuff.
Yes.
Well, I can feel that.
You're getting way too into it.
Well, I get into the movie, man. But, essentially, there's a lot of, I'd almost say art filmy type aspects to the thing going on.
I don't know, maybe this is why I had a problem with it.
Yeah, that's maybe why, because even I thought they were kind of out of place. And then another thing I thought was there were some of the editing and the jumping around was a little weird. Now, I can understand when they were trying to do it to deal with the blackouts and the memory loss and stuff like that. But they were doing it almost right from the beginning of the film, all the way, through it. And I don't know. I didn't like the flow of the way things were put together. I did like the music. I did.
Yeah, that was good.
I did really, really enjoy the music, and was it? Did you say it was a woman who?
Yes, Stephanie Copeland.
Yeah. Did the music, and she's apparently done several of. I guess she did the Antisocial ones and other films they've worked on. So clearly they like her work because they're going back to her and they use her regularly. And yeah, I really dug what she put together on this film. It worked in many ways, and I think it fit the visuals. I think it worked, and it was unnerving at times, which the film required. So I really, really liked the way they dealt with the sound and the music in this film. The climax of the film was probably my favorite part. And it is where it gets probably the scariest portion of the film.
It's scary to me. It's just gross.
After that, right? Like, because before that there isn't much. She's just sort of dealing with what's going on. There were some jump scares and stuff that happened when she's dealing with things.
Because I only think there was like one thing through the whole movie, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was minor.
Well, there was the shower scene.
Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Right. That wasn't a very good one, but there was a shower. Well, I think there was a couple of shower scenes. I'm trying to think. There was a couple. There was about 4 attempts at jump scares before the climax. But yeah, some of them worked better than others. But most of this is dealing with stuff in your head, and people around you and your circumstances, and when you learn about the whole backstory, I guess, of what's going on with her physically. That's kind of where the film tends to ramp it up, and you start really understanding what's going on, and the stuff that you didn't maybe understand at the beginning of the film is now more understandable. And then, yeah, like I said, the climax, you get to the climax and you're just like, okay, yeah, that was awesome. Or vomit worthy, depends on how you look at it.
I didn't look a lot, because...
But yeah, you didn't care much for the film, obviously.
Not really, no. It was not the worst movie I've ever seen, but the whole kind of plot thing, I wasn't buying it.
Well, yeah, you didn't buy it. Honestly, it's something that's been done and been done a lot. I mean, I think there's Twilight Zone episodes and Outer Limits episodes and movies upon movie, all dealing with a very similar theme. Maybe not the exact same way, but a very, very similar concept and idea. So it's not anything really new. I'm not gonna give them any credit there. I do give them credit for shooting in Toronto. It was nice to see Toronto.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's like, oh, where's that?
Yeah, even though it wasn't all shot in Toronto, but I did find the fact that they went down a lot of alleyways, which made no sense. Because some of the alleyways they were going down were dead ends.
See, there was a lot of little things, even things that she did and stuff, and it just bugged me because why would you do that?
Yeah, and I think that's probably where I had a lot of my problems with this film. Was you're watching it and you're just like, that didn't really make sense. No. The opening, okay, you introduce her mother, her mother's character, and identify who she is, what she's doing. And then essentially introduce a rape sequence, and there's reason for it. Clearly, that's to introduce the conception of Alana's character, but it seemed to be supernatural.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you really get this impression of a supernatural type thing. It's, like this person who's doing the raping, maybe Satan or a demon or something like that. You never see them, but they're clearly somebody menacing and something like that. And then you get this, what seems like a super fast, pregnancy and birth, right? At least the way it seemed in the movie. It could have been 9 months long for all we know, with editing and stuff, but it didn't seem like that. It seemed like it was like that night, essentially, right? Like, that's the impression I got. But if this is the case, if this is some supernatural pregnancy, why is that never touched on again? Right? Like, I kept waiting for Dad to come back and be like, you are my daughter, like something like that, but it never happened again. And so you're like, okay, so it wasn't supernatural? Like, there was no reason? I don't know. Maybe if I went back and watched it, there may be other hints and stuff that we just didn't catch. But yeah, it was just things like that where it
yeah, because there's like two different storylines that could have been going. One is like that, right?
Yeah.
Or then the one that they took, and it's like, well, just pick one and then go with that. Like, because it could have been, it didn't have to be that weird guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it could have been anybody. So just do it like that way, and then you don't even have to deal with that aspect at all. And you're not thinking about that. Well, what, like...
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. They introduced it. Why? I don't know. I don't know. It didn't make much sense once you get to the end of the film to have that happen. I mean, what happened could have happened, but it didn't need to be presented that way. And like you said, there are several ways the film could have played out, and they hint at them, but they eventually just go in one direction. And it doesn't seem like they are presented as like to mislead you or direct you in a different way. It just seems like we're presenting this, but then we're not going to follow through on it. Right? So, yeah, yeah, Let Her Out is it's a Canadian film, so you know, kudos to that. It is. Actually, it looked a lot bigger than I thought. Like, it looked like bigger budget and stuff than I actually expected. But I mean, it seemed like there was like under a crew of 20 like that worked on this film, like total, including cast and crew. So it's a very small group of people putting this together. So that, you know, kudos to them for putting together something that looks and feels like really, really good. It's just there are aspects to the film that just didn't, and I think it's mostly story-wise, right?
That's what it was for me.
Right? Like everything else, like cinematography, acting, music, sound.
Even the grossness part, even though that's not my thing, it looked.
Like they were. It was really good.
Yeah.
Right?
So that wasn't even an issue. Like, it looked like, oh, well, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That was even okay. It's just I couldn't go with that.
It was
story.
It was the story and the way it was presented just didn't. It left you question marks along the way that were never ever really answered, and it's not one of those ones where it's, you know, it's trying to make you think. No, it's just stuff that was done that didn't really make sense or was never followed through on, or I mean, there's all sorts of different things you could bring up, but and that's kind of disappointing because otherwise the film is like, it's really good. You know, it's too bad. So I'm guessing you would not recommend it.
I'm not recommending it or not recommending it. Like, just...
You're on the fence. Take it or leave it.
No, whatever. If you want to watch it, you can watch it. You're not going to lose anything. Whatever. But you're not going to miss out by not seeing it either.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know. It's... Considering some of the stuff we watch... like... Compared to, you know, all the films that we started off with,
good.
Would you say this is better? Or,
yes.
Yeah? So this is better. So there you go. So it's a recommend. All right, let's give it a rating and wrap this one up. What would you rate it? A 2? Yeah, I gave it a 2 in the ballot box because there was, you know, it's homegrown. There's going to be a lot of people that probably tearing 5s. I would probably say it's about a 2.5. All closer to a 3. It's almost a 3, but story is so important, and I can really leave a sour taste in this particular film. Everything else seemed to work for it, but yeah, it's just too many little things weren't. And yeah, I mean, I'm not the kind of person who's like, I want everything wrapped up nice with a bow and everything explained and stuff like that. No, I'm okay with... Yeah, you like that. I'm okay with stuff, you know, being obscure and such, but there's a difference between obscure on purpose and trying to have a greater meaning, or, you know, let the viewer come up with their own ideas and own meanings. And for most films, you can tell when that's the case. But then there's just films where you get the feeling that they forgot something. You know, that they had this idea and they went with it and then they forgot about it and never touched it again. And that's what I get from, you know, Let Her Out. That's what I get that feeling from it. It may not be the case. I mean, we could have talked to the people behind it. They were there. But yeah, I expected more from the Q&A. And we didn't get that, so...
You should ask some questions.
Well, I was shooting video. It's kind of hard to watch and do that at the same time.
Because I wouldn't say anything, because I'd be like, huh?
So, yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you go out and watch it, but I don't think you would be, you know, hard-pressed to... You might enjoy it. It may be right up there. but it's a lot better than a lot of the stuff we've watched so far this year. So that being said, yeah, you can do a lot worse. A lot worse. So, yeah, if it comes up on you know, on your Vudu, Netflix, whatever you got going. Voodoo, the things that you do. She'll learn about voodoo in another video, I guess. But yeah, if it shows up there and you're looking at it going, should I pick R.L. Stein's Mostly Ghostly Have You Met My Ghoul Friend?
Don't watch that.
Or Let Her Out. Let Her Out is definitely the one you choose. Hands down. So, yeah. I mean, we can't say too much more about it. There's a lot going for it that's good, but there's some problems. Is often the case with a lot of movies these days, unfortunately.
We just need to make a movie, then it'd be perfect.
Yeah. Probably not. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Anyways, we've rambled on too long. We need to go to bed, so thanks for watching. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.